tag champ, TV champ. You were the mailman
Wow.
in OVW. Rain, sleet, or snow. You didn't have a deal. And you're working all their cash investments. What do you think it was, besides being fat?
When I was a kid, I was in a WCW show. Eddie Guerrero hops up on the buckle and he goes, "Are we going to win this?" And he looked right me in the eye and I go, "Yes, we are." When I hit those moves of the comeback, lock eyes with somebody, I would connect with crowds that way. I want someone in the audience to have an ambulance on the phone. I know this is fake. I think he's really hurt. I got 9-1 hit. I'm going to hit one any second.
He's hitting the drop kick. He's all
He's
right.
in drop kick. He's okay. Cornette named me Skyfire. I think he thought I was Indian. My brain was like a video game with all access to all moves and now teach me psychology. Nathan Jones, he would call moves wrong. He would make them sound more scary. "I'm gonna strangle you in the corner. I'm gonna shake you off for a spine destroyer." And I'm like, that's not a move. I was TV and tag champion with Punk and no one knew my name. They signed me. I don't think they thought I was me. I think they thought it was someone else. I was just sort of signed like cattle and released the same way.
Pro wrestler, special effects, stand-up comedy. Are you ever going to go for it, man? Your credits. What do you have, an Emmy?
I have 2 Emmys, the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. Superman, the Avatars, Ghostbusters, the Dark Crystal show, Avengers Endgame, Thor's, Spider-Man's, Iron Man's, every Marvel movie since Iron Man 3. When I walked away from wrestling, I felt like a lot of friends walked away from me. Everyone's someone. Everyone's a whole feature. Everyone's somebody's baby. Everybody's someone's love. Everyone is worth getting to know.
Let me get rid of cigarettes. Give me a countdown, will you?
Blood streaming, 10,000 screaming!
Yeah. Baltimore, you will never guess what I'm watching.
My name is my name. You chose to live in Baltimore. What's wrong with Tim? Do not attempt to walk straight or adjust your gait. This is LiMPiN AiNT. I'm your handy captivating host. My name is Timmy Baltimore. Hey, do me a favor. Click that subscribe button. Hop on the short bus. Come on down. Be a fan of LiMPiN AiNT. It's just a click for you, but it means the world to me. It could be a little Christmas miracle for little Timmy, Tim. My guest today, he is an OVW legend. He is a absolutely insane talent. He's a little dream chaser, this one. Not only has he chased the dream and attained it at professional wrestling, but once he was done with that, he became a visual effects artist. I believe that's the correct. Is that the correct title?
We say special effects. If you say visual effects, you're gonna think I use computers. I'm more of like the classic 80s blood splatter and hands-on. So
That's way cooler. A special effects artist, and now he is once again grabbed the microphone center stage, but it is not a wrestling ring. It is a stage of comedy. He's a
Yeah.
stand-up comic now. You will know him as Seth Skyfire, also known as Stephen Adkins. How you doing, Seth?
I'm doing very good, sir. How are you?
Oh man, I'm really good. I'm so happy you did this because you have a special place in my journey, in my mind, and you there was a period of time where we saw each other 6-7 days a week for like
Nonstop.
nonstop for a few years and never had a cross word ever. I don't think, not once.
No, just a lot of
Uh,
punches.
Punches. Seth, I want you to real quick, if you don't mind, maybe we can kind of break the ice. What's important to you and why in life? And then if you could after that, maybe answer when you were wrestling, what was important to you.
I think it's always being genuine. And I think it's cause I had to find out who I was very early in life. Um, it's the reason I don't do drugs. It's the reason I change lanes so much with what I do is because I just follow my heart and I don't hide anything. If I don't like you, I tell you. If I like you, I tell you. There's no difference in, you know, my opinion and what you know. I have no agenda. I have no, you know what I mean? Like I try to be, I've always had to, and thought it was the most important is to be real, you know. And I think in wrestling too, wrestling, hmm, I don't even remember. It was like 20 years ago. My voice sounds cool. It was like it was so long ago. I wanted wrestling so bad. I hungered for it at the beginning so much. And on top of, I had already kind of discovered who I was at a young age, you know, and trying to keep your confidence and your like genuineness when people are trying to change you and saying they don't like your haircut and don't like this and don't like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's the best way to answer it.
Yeah, I was there for a lot of it, went through a lot of the same stuff, and, I think that's really, you really did describe yourself there very well, you know, good self-awareness because there's so few people in the wrestling business that almost everybody says good things about them. Nobody really has a bad thing to say, and you're one of those individuals,
Oh,
and I
good.
kind of feel like this may sound silly, but there was always there was kinda like a childish wonderment about you, like,
And there
it was
still
it
is. There
you're
still
right,
is.
you were just you like, you never got caught up in the bullshit. What you see is what you get, you treated people with respect. It was almost like, man, Seth's kinda too good for the just for this business because of putting yourself in a position. Remember how it was? It's like that mind if you allow it, that mind F of, "Well, I'm worried about what this one guy may think of me, but I gotta get through his mini bosses to till I get to what he thinks of me." And it's just like kind of absurd, right?
Yeah, and that's the worst thing I hate about wrestling. Well, the kind of thing is, so I grew up in Alabama, you know, and I learned, you know, you get beat up your whole life. And so when someone's threatening you, what's the worst they're gonna do? Beat you up, you know? And it's once you know it's not that bad, you kind of don't care what people say unless they're gonna beat me up worse than I've ever been beat up, and I've been left for dead a couple times. It's not that scary, you know. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I never you sometimes look at a person and where they are in their scale of their job, and then you also look at them. Well, they're also kind of a piece of crap, you know, he drives a truck and he's always doing drugs and so this guy that if he wasn't wrestling would be a plumber is kind of talking to me. I really don't care, you know.
It's
Um,
it's the truck that was the giveaway. Uh,
uh,
I was pretty, in doing my due diligence, but I was surprised to find out you had been wrestling and working out of Alabama for 10 years before you got to
oh yeah,
OVW.
I started in Alabama so long before, and when I say I had to grow up quick, is sort of like so when I was young, I was so hyper. I was so full of energy. And this is around like I would say kindergarten age. I realized I'm running in circles and the other kids aren't. And I had to like kind of learn to control myself. And by middle school, I had kind of like figured out this level of super energy I have is like a superpower, and I need to learn to calm down. I need to bottle it, and I need to learn to use it. And then around high school, when people started doing drugs and stuff, I was like, "Well, I can't do drugs because I've learned to contain my psychoness and my energy and my over creative brain and all the I'm going in my mind. Uh, That I have to stay calm and have to that helped me know who I was. And so I knew I was super hyper, super full of energy, and I contained myself. And with wrestling, it was like now I've got this outlet to use that contained me is fast, super strong, super fast, super steep. What was the question? I don't even know what I'm talking about.
You had been wrestling for 10 years once you
Yeah,
got to OVW, which I found kind of astounding, but you're saying wrestling was one of the things once you learned to contain your
yeah.
hyperactivity.
So
Did you
once
get in
once
trouble a lot as a kid?
I was always in trouble. I could never stay up. I would run out of classes. I would just have to climb something. I would have to climb the top of things and flip off things, and there'd be teachers everywhere, and I'd be doing backflips off, and they'd be like, "Stop!" And then, but that
Yeah.
kid found wrestling super young, and I wrestled for a long time, and it was another thing. I'd already kind of been through the politics and the BS and the getting stiffed and the getting ribbed and I'd already done cage matches and gotten color and things like that. And then I just sort of go, well, I'm the biggest fish in this pond and I'm never gonna make it. I go, might as well go start in the beginner class and try to, and this is where I always heard I was arrogant, but you're like, I'm gonna use my abilities to get out of the beginner class, like
You
how is
piece of
that?
shit.
But yeah, well, because I saw an old interview with Shawn Michaels, and they go, you gotta have a confidence bordering on cockiness to make it. And so I always tried to focus on being really confident, but not being cocky. But knowing what you can do isn't being cocky, I think. But my goal was go up, join beginner class, and yeah, everyone was surprised that the new person could do so many things, which is pretty awesome.
How'd you hear about OVW?
I was like, I saw that MTV thing with John Cena,
Ah,
and he was still in California, but then I heard he was in developmental on that MTV thing and talked about the prototype. And so I looked it up. This is old, looked up the website and saw where it was and saw there was a beginner class. And I was like, oh, I'm going to drop everything I probably quit that day, everything in my life. And that's what I do. I probably started packing that day to move to Louisville. The moment I found the website, like I was that crazy.
I used to stalk the website too, but you're one of those people with that personality that when you get into something, it's like you can't just sit on the sidelines. You have to
Yeah,
actually do it and get good at it. Is that
yeah.
a correct
Had to
estimation?
do it. And I loved wrestling so much. I loved it so much. The guy who left Alabama loved it so much that I can't even imagine loving. I have children. I can't even imagine loving anything that much. I have 2 children and I'm married. I had a pug, and so I can imagine you can't love anything as much as that guy loved wrestling. Like, and they definitely beat the out of that guy. They got that out of him, so that's good.
That's It was kind of the culture, and it kind of
Uh,
came with the territory. It feels like how long when you once you got into OVW, and I can only use my frame of reference. Once I got there, the jury was in on Seth Skyfire, and it was like he is our. There was nobody else doing that cruiserweight style that was batting 1,000. Rarely, just smooth as hell. And Danny was we used to call you the best cruiserweight in the business,
I
and
never heard that. Never heard him say that to me.
I've heard it quite a few times. So
Wow,
yeah.
that feels
So,
good.
when did you start to notice that the guys who maybe you were seeing on TV or the elder statesmen, the seniors, so to speak, at OVW were kind of giving you the eye, going, "Hey, man, he might be onto something."
Well, I knew by the time I'd left Alabama, I'd done everything I'd ever seen Ray or Eddie or the Hardy Boys ever do. I'd already done it in front of a crowd, and so I knew I could do it. And I remember I went to OVW. I was probably there almost 6 months watching, and I was just, like, very frustrated watching, like, why is everyone's comeback 2 clotheslines and an elbow? And I go, no one's doing any moves here. Like, and it, everyone was so focused on psychology and things, which I'd learned psychology, which is sort of a benefit. I got so much wrestling work in Alabama where no one knew psychology. My brain was like a video game with all access to all moves, and now teach me psychology, which was really fun. So now I know how to do all the moves, and I'm gonna start picking up psychology. And I thought it was really kind of fun listening to Rip and learning, do a suplex, then do a small package. You've set it up, like all the little fun A and Bs, and connect the moves in my video game head. And it was really I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that. And then I enjoyed, you know, I think the first time, uh, Cornette saw me, he thought I was good. He enjoyed me, and he started like, it was no shows, couldn't do anything. I think I did one, top rope crossbody on a dark match at, uh, what was the place down by the flea market? Uh,
Derby Park Expo
prob
5.
probably Derby Park. I did a crossbody on somebody, and then the next thing I know, I wrestled Mark Henry the next week, and then I wrestled, like, Tank, and then I wrestled Mondo, then I wrestled Joey, and it was like, "Oh, he liked me," and started throwing me in everything. But I did notice when I got there, I go, "There's no head scissors in this locker room," like,
Not a head scissor to be found.
and it was
Uh,
kind of cool. Guys like Magnus and stuff were excited to like, "Oh, I want to wrestle him because I want to try to do those things because no one's doing them. So I want to have a cruiserweight opponent." Like even Matt Morgan, I was, "Oh, let's do some." We do stuff at practice because he had no one to do little guy stuff with. So I think I remember teaching him how to give head scissors, take head scissors, because he didn't
right,
have
right,
anyone to learn it from, So that was kind
right.
of neat.
That is very neat. That's really cool. So it's you immediately had value, at least with the boys and the company with Danny and Cornette. And you hear those stories. I by the time I got there, it was right when Cornette had left and Paul Heyman was just got there. And but you hear those stories of and that's what made OVW so special. And people coming up in the industry now that are like, what do I do? How do I don't know. There's not an OVW. I don't know.
I don't
So,
know either.
right? Like, what do you tell them? Because we were lucky if there was a place where you could get a look. And if you busted your ass, it could happen. I always thought that was so cool. Like Cheater, Cage, you, Magnus, guys that came on their own dime, dollar and a dream, and just learned the craft, got over,
Yeah.
and got a deal. It's beautiful. It really is. It's like move to the big city and become a star, well, Louisville, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, right?
That's what it felt
You
like.
were in a fair amount of really actually great tag teams, like you and Mac
Yeah,
Johnson, you and
yeah.
Chet the Jet.
I mean, he first put me with Wavell Star, and Cornette named me Skyfire. I think he thought I was Indian.
There it is. I was
So
gonna
he called me Skyfire and put me with Wavell, and Wavell's real name or his work name is Standing Thunder, and his real name is Wavell Star, and he's an absolute 100% Native American. And he put me with Wavell, and then I think when you see me next to him, you go, "Oh, that guy's not Indian." So, and then he put me with Carlito for a short time, uh, and then he put me with then Mac was my first like that it stuck. Um, yeah, Chet, I had Seidel for a little bit, I had
Yeah.
Punk for a while,
In going through the catalog of your stuff at OVW,
yeah,
or just looking back through my notes of all the house shows and everything, you worked everybody.
I worked everywhere.
Everybody 10 times. There was there was one constant in OVW. It was Cornbread on cam and Seth Skyfire is gonna be working everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that's a testament to how you perform. Why do you think you got over with the talent in the locker room? And why do you think you got over with the people?
Um, well, and people are gonna cheer for moves, and I had moves, which that one worked, and like you said, I've been watching there's been a lot of the library has been popping up on YouTube and stuff, so I've been
Yeah.
watching stuff I haven't seen since I did it, lately, and I think there's a believability in my eyes when I'm out there that I believe I'm I believe what's happening is real, and I kinda like that's my favorite thing about seeing some of my old tapes lately, that he believed it, and the other good thing is because of my Alabama background and because of my Rip Rogers training, I was a chameleon. So, I could go out there and we could call the whole match, or I could plan everything and I could remember every spot. Or I could plan a few spots, and if it's up, I can call 10 more minutes and fix it. So my biggest honor I ever got is when someone was new, I would get them on all the house shows.
Yep.
I remember Albright first came. Cornette gave me Albright for like 2 weeks on every house show, and Ken Doane came. I had Ken Doane for so it was like every time they signed someone new, I think they used me to break them in.
Did you have a favorite era of OVW that you were involved in? Maybe favorite angle, favorite era, anything like that?
Well, there's a couple. When you first get there, you just wanna get on, you know?
Yeah.
And I had, a Magnus was the world champion or something, and I had, like a
And we're talking
4
about
ma
Mark Magnus, sorry,
yeah.
the
Oh,
former
yeah,
Muhammad Hassan.
and he was great too. He was the first guy I met when, so I always heard things, everyone loves Shawn Michaels, and you always hear his goal is to make everyone look as good as they can look, and, that's what you think as a fan, and when I met Magnus, he said, "Well, that's my goal, is to make everyone look as good as they can look, so let's do all your stuff," and I was like, "Wow, I've never met." It was like I was meeting those people don't exist in Alabama, you're meeting another person who takes it as serious as you, and those matches were really fun and really good. It was like I've got another athlete. I've got another person that can move. And something I did learn from the Rip stuff is I used to try to do everything in one match. But what I started doing is I'm going to come up with something unique and creative each match. And just everything else can be basic Russian leg sweeps. But if I run down the lane and swing on the post into a Rana, that makes this match a highlight, you know, and I can spread it out because I know I'll have more matches now. But the Magnus time was really fun. And
So
the stuff,
it was kinda like you were saying, "Oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like, look like with a real like the pros have arrived," right?
yeah. And
Oh,
and then of course, all the Eminem stuff was incredible. Um, I loved that so much. And the stuff with Punk was so real and fun, because we were such good friends. Um, yeah, it's nothing more fun than fighting your best friend like every night. It was so fun.
it
Uh, and the stuff with Miz. I really enjoyed all the
yeah,
work with Miz. I think I wrestled Miz every day for almost a year, it seemed like. like uh
yeah.
it was really fun.
That was a hot angle too, because
Yeah.
Heyman made it personal with, Ronnie Jonah, right? Um, he made it fighting over the girl in the crowd. Um, and I love the with you and Charles, man, and maybe I'm biased, Charles the Hammer Evans. Big, badass black dude that just but he was so funny and so old
Charles
school.
is literally of everyone I've ever wrestled, he's probably the safest person I've ever wrestled. He is a master of the pantomiming, over body worked, gentle, feather light, like working the Armstrongs in Alabama. Like he's feather light, he's as strong as a mountain, and he cannot remember a lot of spots, but he follows perfectly, and you would never know it from his face. And that's Charles is one that I would just call it, and we would sort of talk. We would talk the story of the match almost without moves, like try to get my mask off and I'll fight. And then, I'll try to knock you down, but I can't. I'm not even gonna say what moves I'm gonna do, but once I almost got you knocked down, the next thing I'll do, you take me out. That'll be our heat. And then we'll do this, and I'll find you and knock you down, and then we'll go to a finish from that, and he trusted me 100%. I trusted him 100%. And yeah, biggest heart, very professional, um, scariest looking. But man, Charles was safe, very safe.
He was great to have around in the locker room as well. Greatest entrance music of all time.
Boss,
Like a boss.
like a boss, man. Charles
Your
like a boss.
yours was pretty yours I remember like at that era of OVW had all like the like the evanescence. Pick me up inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Every other song
Um,
was.
entrance music has ruined radio for me. So every time I hear everyone's entrance, I always see it and do it, and I'm like, stop. And no one else knows what I'm doing. What are you doing?
Um, do you another funny or not funny thing, but interesting note is that you were in OVW. What year did you get there?
2002, I think.
Okay, so you were there for a number of years. I believe what was it, 2006 or 7? You got your
I think
deal.
I think 6 I got my 6 or maybe 6 I got my deal, but I was barely under a deal that long, and then sort of quit shortly after the release.
What's even more wild, it's not wild that you quit. It's wild that after all that time, and there. I think there was a thing to like earning it in OVW, and it was like, when's Seth going to get his deal? Damn.
Well, it was a
Um,
weird thing. I remember they were starting Deep South. They came to OVW. We did a bunch of shows for them, and then they signed like, I mean, nothing against the guys they signed. They signed guys like they signed Mac and Mike Taylor and all those guys and sent them to Florida, like 5 people. I'm like, what the hell? Like,
what am I doing?
and I'm like, at the time, I'm like a TV champion and main eventing every show, and I'm like, why'd you just sign those 5 guys that weren't necessarily even proving themselves as much to a live audience and a TV. And yeah, no, again, nothing against those great wrestlers, but it just seemed like a weird decision every time. And I was always told because I was so fat. But
You
I
were
don't.
going to play Forrest Plump on stage.
And now that I'm
Back
fat, I know how skinny I was. If they wanted fat, I could have gave them fat.
That's wild. Yeah, I don't because it's hard to relate to people at home. We OVW for that time for a time period, it was a legit territory, as close to a territory as anything that existed for that time. I mean, we were Mondays you had practice, Tuesdays you had promos, Wednesdays maybe morning,
It was nonstop. It was
nonstop,
7
3,
days a
4,
week.
5 shows. Yeah.
And we were getting such big reactions and having it felt like what we were doing was this like renaissance almost or something, and it felt bigger than like Raws and stuff. Like it felt like what we were doing was better.
Yeah.
It just felt so good. Like
And there was a period where it was you were one of the people that was thanks for the house, Steph. Like it was on your shoulders. Al was booking at that time. He really leaned on you, knew you
see,
could deliver.
you're telling me things that I didn't perceive myself as this.
But this is
'Cause
true.
I was never kinda complimented or told, every match was torn apart. I was never told, "We need you," or anything. Yeah, in a short give me a short what you would describe Seth Skyfire, the character, as.
Seth Skyfire is the ultimate Hail Mary underdog that can fight his way out of a pinch.
Because you're saying things like that Al depended on me, and
Yes, you don't
I
think
had
he
no
did?
idea. He
Well,
never told me a compliment, I
no,
don't think
we never
ever.
told anybody a compliment, but listen, we came up in the era of if you give them any positive reinforcement, they're going to turn into fucking Satan. Like that's what
I would beg him for compliment sandwich. I go,
right.
"Shit on my face, tell me something nice, and then shit again, but please tell me something's good." Like,
I don't know, man. They were hard on you a lot of times, but I thought it was because they thought you were so good. Like I remember one time you didn't come out selling after having your ribs tape up, and Danny practically shit a kitten in the hallway. I
yeah.
was like, God damn.
See, I remember that too. See, I was supposed to let my music play and then go out. But my body reaction. I went to the curtain and I'm sitting there waiting, and the music starts and I popped out. And the second I
Muscle
popped
memory.
out, I knew it was wrong. But the music hit and I popped out. I was like,
Right,
um,
right when back off, we'll take
yeah,
you
but it
out.
hit, and my Pavlov dog was just popped out in the curtain. I didn't I still do that now. If the music hits, I run and jump out of a window every time. Like,
Did you did you know in that moment, right when you popped out though, did you go, "Ah,
yeah, I was like, um, but yeah. And then Charles ran out and killed me, so it didn't matter.
So it didn't matter, and, you know, I think the whole point to all that is you were the mailman, Rain Sleeter Snow in
Wow.
OVW, and it was wild. Like you said, tag champ, TV champ, it was freaking wild that you didn't have a deal. And you're working all their guys, their cash investments, CM Punk, Phil, CM Punk, all their guys, and so obviously you're trustworthy, right?
Yeah.
What do you think it was besides being fat?
So fat, just so damn fat.
You're just so
Um, and do you think that so when you think about to Seth Skyfire, do you think, well, he was so out of shape? Or do you remember me?
No, I think what you look like a fucking athlete. You look
I
like an
mean,
athlete.
I worked out every single day, and I ate all the chicken and broccoli all the other guys ate. I stayed away from the needles. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, uh,
That's what
but
they were telling you indirectly. You know what I'm saying?
everyone was sort of trying to get me
Yeah.
to do stuff, and it was just so weird. But
That
well, I
Kentucky
never,
water.
I've still never smoked a cigarette. Had a beer. It's a little different for me to do something like that. But I felt like I looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Um,
You look like an
It's
athlete, Seth,
it's just so
you
weird.
know?
Just so weird. I don't know, and I've also, in hindsight, they always told me I couldn't talk on the mic, but they never really asked me to either. Um, and I always thought that was strange, and I think I was telling someone this the other day, I think they teach wrestling kind of backwards. They
Okay.
teach wrestling like it's a real sport. You know, when you go out there, what do they say? Do they say, "All right, make me believe it in your face, make me," or do they say, "Lay him in, boys"? Why would you lay him in? It's f***ing fake, you know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It, um, and that's what I remember when I teach wrestling. Well, I taught wrestling for a while afterwards, but the what's on your face is what's showing, and I'm shocked they didn't spend everyone should come to the ring. Everyone should do a promo. Like, for every one of those matches that I was doing, I should have done a promo. So
Yeah.
imagine if I had done that many promos on top of that many matches. Um, and they never I think I got maybe 2 promos
And
that
we're
were so
talking about on live TV
yeah,
or in the ring monologue style?
and they were so written that
Yeah.
I felt like a robot saying what I was written, you know? And as
Yeah.
opposed to now what I know about stand up and what I know about performance and I know about being on the mic, and the first time you realize that it's not about being loud and clear or being so emotional that you're not doing anything wrong. If people don't laugh, you're not doing anything wrong. But as long as you're up there trying, it's okay. And that makes any time you're on the mic 100% comfortable. And if I had got to where I am now, mic comfortable back then, and gotten to do all these promos, who knows I mean, I wasn't shy. I
Yeah.
wasn't like, you know, afraid to talk. They just never asked me to, and also told me I couldn't talk. Um,
You're like, are you is that a judgment or are you an order? Like, what are you
yeah,
saying?
I just thought that was weird. I remember there was one Miz wanted to do a promo on me, and then I had written one back, and then we get to TV, and they go, "Oh no, Shelly's gonna answer it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like, uh, and all I went, "Hoorah!" That's all I did. The hoorah vomit. That's all I did. I don't. Well, Cornette said maybe the reason I wasn't signed was my size. There wasn't a big cruiserweight movement at the time. But I also felt when ECW started with Punk, I was like, man, if I would love them to sign like Super Crazy and Jerry Lynn and put me in with those kind of guys and let us. That's what ECW was for me, was high flying excitement of cruiserweights. And I thought when ECW was coming back, I'm like, please give me that. But that just never happened either. I don't know.
A lot of the situations that talent was put in was so freaking awkward, and I get it. You gotta jump through the hoops, but like, hey, here's 20 writers, or sometimes here's one agent, one old timer. All right, get in the ring. You're facing John Cena Monday. Go. It's like, what? How is
So
that
weird.
conducive to making anybody successful?
And I don't think that's what it is. Everyone's gonna give the same promo. Everyone's gonna give the exact same promo, you know? Like, "You may not know me, John, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? You may but do you see me now? You'll see," everyone will say the exact same thing.
Or
Um,
or the old, I was eating ramen noodles, sleeping in my car.
yeah,
That
uh,
one, yeah.
yeah, and everyone's gonna give them a wrestling promo, and that's what they're asking for, and then that's what they don't want. Um And I think it's different than that. I think it should be like promo class shouldn't be get up there and get me on, pixie sticks. Like, write me some stuff. Cause I learned with stand up, you cannot go up there with nothing in your head. You got to look like it's coming off the top of your head, but you got to write your material. You got to be ready. You got to have everything written out and planned. Or if you don't, you're going to be up there going, like, so they should focus more on write me a 5-minute promo of who you are.
Yeah.
So how
Talk a
many
little bit
times have
about
you ever
that.
been asked that? I've never been asked that.
No, because I wanna ask you about that. So, like, you learned in stand-up, you wanna write your killer ass 5 minutes, right?
Yeah,
But that isn't like you write it and there's your killer 5 minutes. It's whittling it down, it's trimming the fat, it's trying it here,
always.
trying it there,
Yeah,
seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, seeing why it works, seeing what
yeah.
works different places. This isn't much different than that, is it? Like that concept?
I mean, I think they should treat promo class very different. And in promo class, I always got up there and talked fine and told stories and did impressions and had the whole place laughing. It was never like he bombed in promo class too, like. So I always found it weird, and that's my biggest thing I would change is I would have made myself or asked for more, make me do more promos. Like if I'm and wouldn't you think if a company said, "Oh, you're not good at this, let's exercise that. Let's work on that habit
Yeah,
of
yeah.
yours."
So Nova was in charge, right? When you got hired, was it one of
Yeah.
those things where Nova is like, he's been here this long, let's give him a shot, and they weren't necessarily, they didn't know you. They didn't take an opportunity to know you because they didn't watch the product a lot of times. So
Well, absolutely. I guarantee they didn't watch the product because I remember all the writers came in one time and I shook everyone's hand at the door and not one person knew my name. I introduced myself. Not one person. Oh, what was your name? Hi. What was your name? Yeah, no one knew who I was. Um, and I think it was the peak of me and Punk. I was TV and tag champion with Punk, and no one knew my name, which I thought was kind of funny.
was that deflating or just water off the back?
It was confusing. But and just like so, the kid from Alabama never thought he wouldn't main event WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So he
Yeah.
still thinks he's stepping forward. But the day I got signed, it wasn't Nova. I had cut my hair.
Mhm.
I'd done the haircut angle,
The
and I
Spirit
did
Squad cut your hair, right?
yeah.
Is that it?
Well,
Yeah,
just Jeter and Cage cut my hair,
that's
uh,
right.
and because they were getting their hair cut, or then Jeter got his hair cut, so we got revenge off camera on Jeter's hair.
Because they made him do it at TV.
Yeah, uh, but They
Golly.
cut my hair, and I had been, the peak of my just working out and Stairmaster is when I got kinda skinny. I had just switched to my yellow with the haircut, I switched to the
With the
yellow.
haircut and the highlight here.
Yeah, the little
Yep,
kinda Shannon Moore bell bottoms,
yep, I remember vividly.
and I wrestled idle when the business came, and, when I wrestle idle, it's gonna be extravagant. I wrestled him 1,000 times, and I'm wrestling him in front of the bosses. I mean, one of the only times I did my leg drop in front of the office, um, and they signed me, and I still to this day, I'd have to ask Johnny if he even remembers me. I don't think they thought I was me. I think they thought it was someone else. I think, "Who's this new guy with short hair and this new outfit that's probably 20 pounds smaller?" Or did I have to become a skeleton to get signed? But I think they didn't think it was me. Um,
Oh,
and I had an amazing match. I know my match was amazing.
yeah, no
And it was
doubt.
idle. Yeah.
Right. He's incredible. Like I see him still at go up to EC3s in Cleveland
Yeah.
and still see Idol. He's working there. He's still
I
uh
love it. Love
love
Idol.
him.
Love you.
Love
I love you, Idol.
fantastic talent. So the other heartbreaking thing was, man, like you were so well liked, so good for the locker room. All I remember with you is laughing
Good.
shit ton. And um it wasn't but just like it felt like 9 months maybe,
Yeah.
and there were like 3 releases, and wasn't it over the holidays? Am I remembering this correctly?
I remember it was, I got signed on June the 9th. I know it was June 9th, and I think I got released around January or something like that.
Okay.
So it wasn't even a year. And I was already doing even house shows sometimes, and I was already doing
You were on the road with them.
so every time they were close, because you got an extra $500, you'd go do
Sure.
extra talent every time they were close.
Absolutely.
Um, everybody did, everyone, and we did it. So on top of our OVW schedule, we were driving and doing extra talent work and driving back and doing class and driving to do extra talent work.
Yeah, your
Um,
ass better not fade class coming back from Tuesday night
that's right.
SmackDown,
Oh,
right?
SmackDown, brother. Yeah.
Brother, get big
Taking
heat,
the
brother.
Master Lock challenge, brother.
I did they give you I guess they didn't give a reason why. That's
Well, here's the thing too. Everyone gets shocked at this. I never had a meeting with anyone ever about my character, my future, my plans. I signed a piece of paper, went back to wrestling class, never had a sit down with Johnny Ace, never had a sit down with a writer, never even like sat down with Al or anybody about my opinions, what I want, or I was just sort of signed like cattle and released the same way.
nothing really changed except getting paid in your own paper, right?
Yeah, that's about it. And I just found that really weird. And then because I hear like interviews with like Pat Buck, and Pat Buck's like, I'd always be telling Jace, what do I need to do to get signed? And Ace would be like, well, we know with Pat. And he goes, and then Pat would do darks and Pat would do all this. And Pat's a great wrestler, but it'd be like his amount of conversations it seems he had about what to do seemed to be like, wow, I'd never had one conversation with anyone, um, which I thought was very strange.
I remember having a conversation with you after you were signed and saying asking maybe it was promo days, I don't remember the context, but asking something about like uh what your goals were there, something along those lines, or maybe we were talking over something, and you're like, dude, I just want to go up there, get like a run with Shane Helms, something. You said something
Yeah,
like that, and I'd be cool with it. I'd be happy. Back then, and probably still now, the culture was very much you're not pushing people up, you're using bodies to step on to get high. And if you're not doing that, you don't want it.
and these aren't your friends. This is your competition.
Yeah.
And if you're not politicking, you're not doing it right. Do you feel like maybe that you had some responsibility in not pursuing it, or do you feel like, hey man, my job is to wrestle. You are the writers. You are the office. What the shit? Talk to me.
Well, I had ideas and things, and I would ask, like, "What do I do? Who do I talk to?" And they'll go, "Oh, well, they'll get in touch with you," things like that. And then I also, I went on the road with Helms a couple times, and we had great matches. And me and him talked, and I had the idea we talked comics. I go, I'd love to be, a superhero too. And then you don't like it. And I go, eventually give you an opportunity to come back as Hurricane. We could end up a tag team. It was just chit chat, really. And I had kind of heard rumors of that. And I
Yeah.
even heard rumors once of me coming in as the Hurricane, sort of like the fake Kane.
Right.
And then Helms being like, "You're not Hurricane," and then so Helms could wrestle the Hurricane, which I thought that would have been a great idea.
Been awesome.
I think even Mark Henry, he's the one that walked by and goes, "Are you gonna be Hurricane?" Like, he heard more about it than I did, and I go, "I don't know. Like, where'd you hear that?" Like, and I don't think I ever up. I don't think I ever, got drunk and got arrested. I don't think I pissed off Goldberg. I don't think, you know what I mean? I don't I never ate chicken over nothing. Like, I never up. I remember going on the road and, hanging with Nitro and Dreamer, and Nitro being like, "Man, when you get on TV, it's gonna be so fun." Um, and like you said, my dream was always, I always thought if I could get one I got a few, squashed by Masters, squashed by Seven, dark matches, but if I could get, me and Nitro on in a WWE audience where they see what I can do, and I can hit some of my dives, hit some of my stuff, hit some of my emotion, um, there'll be no doubt that I'll win the crowd, and they will see this person has value, that he can get emotion out of people, which that's what always I thought I could do. Because on top of Shawn Michaels being my favorite, what I realized he did was you felt his pain in those early, 96 years when he was hurt. And my goal was always, when I get in the back, I want people to wonder if he's hurt. And I would do that a lot. A lot of guys would check on me, and I was very happy with that.
You took an ass whooping like nobody else. Like nobody else.
I never up, and I never had an opportunity that I dropped a ball, I never, said no to the Spirit Squad. I never, you know what I mean? Like, all the things I could have done that could have got me fired,
You didn't deflate Ken Doan's tires. You
I
didn't
didn't.
steal a golf
Yeah,
club.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I just sorta got signed, and not that I didn't get an opportunity, I don't think. And I remember when Nova fired me, he goes, "It was a split-second decision." He goes, "They said your real name." He goes, "They said Steven Adkins? No, fired." And it was he said it was that fast. He goes, "Even if I wanted to speak up, I didn't have time to say anything." And on top, how many people in that room knew who Steven Adkins was?
Right.
I don't think most people knew who Steven Adkins was. Uh, so yeah, it was weird for the boy from Alabama to almost get his dream, have it right at the fingertips, and then it's over. Almost like everyone got an opportunity before their release.
Right.
I don't think anyone, I can't think of anyone who got released without, I mean, Ox, Steve Lewington, Burchell, everyone got at least a chance to, break out of the bottom. Albright, everyone got at least a chance.
And put on TV in
Yeah,
some meaningful way.
and I always felt like, well, once they give me that chance, I know they will be surprised. I'm like, "Oh, wow, why is the crowd cheering for that?" Um, because I don't think there's ever been a crowd, because I was almost always babyface, and I
Mhm.
knew, how to work as a baby, which is, I think, harder. Everyone
Absolutely.
knows how to work as a heel, but how to work as a babyface, where to put I always find this weird, where to put your eyes when you're selling, who to look at, like where in the crowd, how far off to look, and how to bring it closer and how to bring it further. Like, so I would know how to pull a crowd in during my heat, which was sort of like what I worked on.
Would you pick a person or would you how what was your philosophy on that?
When I would come out, uh, I would treat my entrance like a shine and keep my eyes on the front row. And I
Awesome.
would stare at everyone in the front row and lock eyes and smile and even do little like gestures to people that were very personal and intimate. Hey, what's up, man? Almost like, oh, like he knows me. Like,
Brilliant.
good to see you. Um, because when I was a kid, I was at a WCW show. Eddie Guerrero hops up on the buckle and he goes, "Are we gonna win this?" And he looked right me in the eye, and I go, "Yes, we are." And I remember my friends around me all looked at me, and I felt it so much. I just felt
That's
it
so
right
cool.
now. But I remember, like, so I would start my matches looking in the eyes, try to get everyone around the front row's eyes. And then after moves, you kind of go further back. And when I'm in the heat, I'm looking as far as I can for help. I'm looking past the people I've already made friends with. And it makes the people I've already made friends with say, "Come on, help him. Let's help him."
'Cause it flows downward, right?
And then
Trickles
after
down.
yeah, and then when I hit those moves with the comeback, I don't think anyone knows this. You hit those first 2 lines, lock eyes with somebody. You hit that drop kick, lock eyes with somebody. And I was very focused on that. Um, and I have never heard anybody else talk about stuff like that.
No,
But
I
I
love
I
that. Yeah.
would I would connect with crowds that way, the same way I do with stand-up. Before my first joke, I have hit every eye in every place. Because stand-up is supposed to be, well, I've got a mic and the room is full, but we're having a personal conversation. We're talking right now, and these jokes are just for you. That's what's sort of supposed to happen. And that's what I kind of did with wrestling. And I knew I could do it if I ever got the chance. And I feel like that's my only regret is I never got the chance. If I had debuted and tried to walk up the ropes and fell, I'm like, I f***ed up. I guess fire me. Oh well. Um, but I didn't, which is weird.
I love the granular parts where I love hearing somebody who's, like, mastered a craft or gotten really good at something, dive into that, and
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing there.
Well, you
I
can
love
hold your back and wince all you want, but if you hold your back and you're wincing, and you look at your mom for help, you're gonna have a different expression. If you look at your best friend, try to let him know it's real, like I need some help. Like I always said, I want someone in the audience to have an ambulance on the phone by the end of the heat. like
right.
he's really hurt. I know this is fake, but I think he's really hurt. We should call. I got 9-1 hit on the phone. I'm gonna hit one. I'm gonna hit one any second. All right, come back here. Never mind. Close the phone.
He's hitting the drop kick, he's
He's
alright.
in drop kicks. He's okay. Uh,
When'd you know wrestling was over for you?
well, me being the way I am, I guess. I'd kind of when I got released, I was like, well, that's it. I guess I've got to take the hard route. Um, Punk gave me a handful of phone numbers. Uh, I called I called 50 people. I bought like I got like a new calendar book. I went home. I ordered some new gear. I go, I'm going to start a new diet too. I'm going to call all these numbers, send all these emails. No one answered me. No one had heard of Seth Skyfire other than he got fired. Um, no one offered me to bring me up. They all said maybe later. A few people were like, "Well, you can drive to Chicago and we'll give you $50, but we don't have a place to stay." And well, um, it was the first time in my life that I wasn't stepping up a rung with everything. Um, I'd always known from a young age, I'm gonna be a pro wrestler. I'm gonna main event WrestleMania. That's the first time my brain said, "Nope, you're not gonna do that. Nobody wants you." Uh, and that was kinda heartbreaking. And it was kind of like, wow, all this work I've done at OVW, it's like, making beautiful paintings in the basement that no one sees. Like maybe nobody sees OVW. Um, and then 9 months later, I could go back to OVW, and I was treated very different, which is very strange.
A lot of people went through that, and it was kinda sad to see Jeters, yourself, guys that were, like, the guys there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, they at least got, status. They got to wrestle, Triple H and Shawn Michaels and then come back. I kind of was like, I do remember when I got fired, Punk and Beth and Cliff and Mondo and a bunch of us went to dinner or something, and no one was talking. And it was the day I got fired, and it was so weird. And it was like I was dead.
Was
It's
that the
like
sushi joint?
maybe. It was oh, I love that place so
Oh,
much.
remember the sushi burrito rolls?
Oh, it was so
Oh
good.
my god, I can't find them. I can never find them anywhere.
Oh, I love them so much. There's a food truck in LA that does sushi burritos. But it was so I was, like, dead. I was dead to my friends.
How
Um,
bizarre.
and I remember we went you go back to promo class the day after you're fired, and you're, like, saying, like, "Alright, Seth, say your goodbyes." I'm like, "Goodbyes? I'm dead." Um, there's 2 also, everyone thought I was, like, 21 and I was 26, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so everybody thought I was a little younger, I think. Um, and who else I remember Silverback got fired when I got fired.
Yeah, was it Bolin? No, not John Bolin, you
There's
not
3 of
Mikey?
us.
It's 3 of you. Cassidy Riley?
No, I know it was me, Silverback, and somebody else.
Devin Driscoll?
I don't know.
The big one was you and Reed. That was
Yeah.
it was surprising. It was
But,
very
even
surprising.
Reeves, that's a guy, he got to come back, he got to prove himself, you know? He got and everyone was always, "Did they ever call you back?" No, no one ever called me back. I don't think anyone ever knew I worked there. And then but when I go back to OVW, it's like no one I knew was even left, kind of. The saving grace was Ace was there, and I'd always
Ace Steel?
yeah, talked to Ace and never got to wrestle him, and Seidel had gotten signed, and Cabana was there, and that was probably my last paintings were with Ace and Matt and doing some tag stuff with Jamin. Um, Ace was another like, one of the last guys I met. They're like, "Wow, we're telepathic. We're working the same way, think the same way." Everything was so fun. Um and it was weird, and then they all left, and it was me with kind of, like, Man Beast and, guys like that, and
Yeah.
they're all I'm, like, realizing, "Oh, like, I'm in the wrong locker room, like, no one knows me here."
Did it feel uncomfortable?
It did. I had no one to kinda go with, and the people I knew kinda treated me, um different. They were treated me like and also at the time, I'm doubting myself for the first time, you know?
Mm.
I'm not wanting to do as much hard work. I'm not wanting to do as much, you know, I don't wanna do all that. I don't wanna get I'm thinking about getting hurt and things like that, and I'm trying to find myself. And a lot of those guys, are so rip guys that they're punchers and kickers in psychology, you know? And I'm like, "Well, I kept getting weird matches that felt weird, like, what was that guy's name that looked really good? Um,
Andrew Vane?
I liked him, but I would get, like, weird "Do baby baby" with this guy who can't chain wrestle and who's very green, and and it just would be I would have just having it was the first time I was having bad matches, I
There it
think,
is,
in
right?
my
There
life,
it is.
and it was the first time I was not motivated, and I started thinking like, "Man, wrestling doesn't want me." I've always said wrestling was a girl that had always been really good to me, and now she's kinda not being sh kinda treating me like shit, you know,
Yeah.
and then Punk would come back, and then Punk would ask to wrestle me, and I would have an amazing match, and then that would be it. Um, but I do remember I had never missed a spot in my entire life, and I missed a spot in a tag match with Cabana and Punk and Cliff, and I'd never missed a spot, and I was like, "Wow," like,
Wa was that the 8 man where Tony Atlas and Punk went at it afterwards?
it could have been, I don't remember,
Yeah.
but I remember it was I was supposed to come up on the apron and distract Cabana, and he was supposed to come to me, and I was gonna drape him, and I kinda turned heel for the sake of the match, which, I don't think Danny liked that, but I don't know, and I had asked Danny that too, I go, "All these new guys, can I just turn heel, and maybe that'll be a new life for me, no one's seen me be heel," because in Alabama, I was always heel, I was the veteran down there, before I came up, um, so it was weird. Very weird. I didn't feel wanted there, and I didn't wanna be there at the same time,
Yeah.
kinda,
You just didn't know what else to do at the time, huh?
yeah, yeah,
Right. Well, you just brought up the fact that you had, uh, neck surgery. What was the injury and, what was it from? Because your finishing maneuver was the top rope leg drop, the Alabama jam.
I loved it,
Yeah.
and, even then, Al didn't let me use it. He made me do that walk-up back kick, and I was like, "Why? My leg drop's so good." And they're like, "Ken Doan's using it." Well, I think Ken's already fired, like, why can't I use my leg drop? I don't really have an injury I remember. I know about, uh 5 years into OVW, my fingers would go numb all the time, and if you watch everyone thought it was body language. Before I locked up, I did this. It was trying to shake the feeling into my fingers before I locked up, um, and that always happened, and that would occasionally go where the bicep on this side would get real weak, and I couldn't curl a 5, but then it would come back, um, and that was sort of a sign to quit a little bit too, where that's starting to happen more often. But there was never like no one. I can't go. Billy dropped me on my head. Like I can't think of any injury, but I think I did wrestle pretty wild, uh, and I always landed pretty flat though. Um, Maybe it's just tucking the chin
Mm.
breaks up
Right,
all that little stuff from
right.
all the times. Yeah.
What was the actual what was the do you mind if I ask what was the diagnosis? Was stenosis with bone spurs
So it's
fracture?
about August. I go to bed normal. I wake up with like the worst I slept on my neck pain of my life, like screaming about 4 a.m. I wake up my wife. She doesn't know what to do. We'd throw me in a hot bath. I'm just sitting there like it hurts so much. Everything's working at that point. We put a ice pack on me. I kind of sit on the couch for a while. And then next thing I know, I can't raise my arm. This arm won't raise, like, side lat raise or front lat raise, and I notice, like, the muscle movement in my fingers are kinda gone. Small things like buttoning my pants or, something like that, it starts to be really weird with these bottom 2, and so the shoulder turned off and the hand went weird, and I went to the doctor, and they go, "Oh, here's some Tylenol, go home, you'll be alright in 2 days." And then a week later, I go, I still can't move my arm. They go, okay, let's have an MRI. Had an MRI. Your shoulder, they go, your shoulder has arthritis and bursitis of a man twice your age and more bone spurs than we've ever seen. What did you do when you were young? I go, I have no idea. Um, but they go, it's not your shoulder. I didn't confess to the rest of it.
Right, I don't know, that's so weird.
But they go, "It's not your shoulder's fine, it's just it's shitty." And then they did my neck, and they go, "Oh, you got bulging discs that are really choking the nerves in your neck. Um, and they said you got spurs everywhere from wrestling, I guess, all the stupid wrestling I did. But then they just went in and they did 2 replacements instead of fusion.
You
So
didn't
I
get fused.
didn't get fused. I got double replacement, which should release the pressure on the nerve, and then all this should come back, which it's not back, but it's coming back. It's on its way.
It'll get there. You keep pushing,
Yeah.
man. Like, you said, but you have full range of mobility.
Yeah, I got up, walked
Yeah.
out of the yeah, I can turn. They said not to push it yet. It's only been hadn't even been
Right.
2 weeks, but
Oh wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Good, man. That's great. Yeah. I'm so happy to hear that and that you got it done because
Yeah.
that pain when the spine swell, it's insane. You can't even describe it, can you?
Ugh.
It's
Yeah, and it was scary being
push.
like my job is so physical, my effects job, that I was like, now I can't like do my detailed stuff with my
Right.
weak little hand here. So
I'm really also want to ask you about getting into the special effects because pro wrestlers, special effects, stand up comedy. It's like,
I did
are
it
you ever
all.
going to go for it, man? Yeah, right. You
Um,
ever gonna pursue what you love?
that's right.
Um, your credits. Well, you have an don't what do you have, an Emmy?
I have 2 Emmys for the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian.
Oh, so just Star Wars
Just Star
IP.
Wars, Disney stuff, small projects, small indie films. Um,
What else have you worked on?
I mean, I've worked on every Marvel movie since Iron Man 3. I've worked on, my name's in the credits for Superman. I molded all of the Metamorpho character. Um, I've worked on the avatars. I've worked on almost everything. Everything you can think of. I worked on Ghostbusters. I worked on I mean, I can't count everything I've worked on because I've
Sure.
worked on so much. Every Disney Plus project I've molded something for. I mean, Avengers Endgame, Thor's, Spider-Man's, Iron Man's, Mandalorians, Ghostbusters,
You see you
uh,
signed
Dark
NDAs out the ass.
the Dark Crystal show. I did
You
that.
did Dark Crystal too? Well,
Did Dark Crystal, did I mean just everything. Like
what drew you to the special effects? Because I feel like where the era take two, the era we grew up in, there was just something more that anchored and felt realer about actual physical special effects
yeah.
rather than
Yeah, our
computer.
movies of our childhood are so practical and um yeah, everything about that. If you ever came to I don't know if you've ever been to my house, it looks like this. It looked like this in Louisville, covered in creatures and covered in Leatherface and Jason and Freddy and everything. That was what, on top of wrestling, I had all that stuff everywhere. Um and yeah, and it was weird. I was supposed to come to wrestle um, at OVW, and I was like in tears. I did not want to wrestle one bit. And then a voice in my head said, "Don't." And I go, "Oh, I'm not." And I remember I called Danny. I think I might have talked to you. You go, "I had you in a big tag against the Assassins or something." Where I was
A
probably
big
gonna get
tag.
squashed or something against, but, and I remember I go, "Danny, I think I'm quitting wrestling." And he goes, "Oh, you wanna retire?" I go, "No, I think I'm quitting right now. I don't think I'm ever gonna wrestle again." And he goes, "Well, all right, well, take the night off and call me back." And I remember I went and I got clippers and I shaved my head because I always wanted a buzz cut, and you can't really, as a wrestler, no one's ever but then Triple H does it after he says no one else can. Um, and I packed everything in a garbage bag, like all my wrestling stuff. And I walked into my horror living room and I go, "Let's do this." That's what I said to and I got on the computer. I go, "Special effects school, Tom Savini special makeup effects school. Let's look it up. When can I enroll? I can start June the 9th." Ironically, the day I got signed to wrestling, same date Like maybe 2 years later, I can start June the 9th. I signed up for school the same night I quit wrestling and started packing my Louisville apartment to go to special effects school.
In
Um,
LA?
in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's way worse.
it is wild.
What okay, so you go to this accredited this special effects school. How do you begin to get your reputation up? You gotta be considered a pretty accomplished, professional, right? Like, how did that happen?
I mean, I approached it the way I approach everything, I guess. You know, gotta work the hardest, be the best. If someone's there at 6, you be there at 5:59. If someone's there at 5:59, be there at 5:58, you know, stay later, work harder. And I always felt I kind of did that. And with the same treat people nice, be genuine, don't, you know, it's everything's the same business. Every stand up, special effects, all of film, all of acting, it's all the same thing. Treat every janitor, every waiter the same as you treat every CEO and every, you know, secretary. Treat them all nice. Just like getting that crowd to like you. Lock eyes with people. Talk to them, you know. Say hi. Oh, hi. Like, how are you today? Oh, are you here for something? Oh, but yeah, I'm here for an appointment, but I just want to say, how are you? Like, you know, like catch people off guard, be polite. Because everyone's someone. Everyone's a whole feature, right? In their little lives, no matter the smallest person, everyone's somebody's baby. Everybody's someone's love. You know, everyone is worth getting to know, you know? Like, so attack everything like that. And I attacked special effects with the same passion. The same boy who wanted to main event WrestleMania also saw Ghostbusters and Road Warrior and Nightmare on Elm Street and loved those things his whole life. And realized, well, I can be a part of this too, and not get the shit beat out of me all the time.
Right. And
So
not have
it was just like a field day. I also going into a world where no one knew me, no one knew wrestling, no one heard the name Skyfire. My name is Steven. Um, I just quit a job and I'm gonna come do this. I disappeared and just didn't try to get booked. I mean, I was done with wrestling. I quit wrestling like a drug addict. I was like, done, cut off, cold turkey. I didn't watch it. I didn't think about it. Um, just went to effects school and like immersed myself in a new world. Also met a beautiful lady that I now have 2 kids with, you know.
congratulations. That's
Like
awesome.
it was I always say I was on Mars for a time in my life. It was coming back to Earth and being human again, you know. And it was fantastic. Uh,
That that's incredible. That's an incredible story, Seth, because how many of our peers and people we, love and respect
yeah.
have the
Wait,
the adjustment doesn't go so smoothly.
waiting for the call. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's scary. And I have friends from Alabama who I wrestled with who still work in the same restaurant and are still thinking they're gonna make it. And I'm like, dude, it's not gonna happen. Uh, y but that's their life, that's their
Right.
journey. Maybe they're happy. Hopefully they are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Professional wrestling where the delusion is the realest thing.
Well, wrestling definitely taught me a lot about life, a lot about who I am. It gave me this great thing to talk about, you know. I have this it's like I have a secret. I can tell somebody, "Oh, and I used to be Superman," you know, and, "Oh, wow, like, he used to be a superhero." Like, it's almost like that. I get to tell people that I used to be this other thing, and they're always very shocked, and it also, you know, being stronger as a little cruiserweight in WWE, you're the biggest, strongest, most jacked guy in special effects school. Like, you know, you're like
Right.
yeah, you're like captain of the football team the second you walk in. They're like, "Holy shit, I've never seen people with that many muscles." Like, yeah. Um,
Wh what was the first big production you worked on?
um, I worked on big production was probably Iron Man 3.
That was
Uh,
the first big break,
yeah,
you would
that was
say?
my first, but I'd already been out here a few years for that. I came out here and a guy named Gabe Bartalos, who did all the Leprechaun movies, he gave me an opportunity to work on a movie called, uh, it's a song, Jack and Diane.
Okay.
And it had Juno Temple in it and Elvis's niece and a bunch of great people, but it was a little indie movie where, when she gets sexually frustrated, she turns into a werewolf, and I got to puppeteer things and do the cut in half intestine bed and go to New York City and do blood gags and, live what I imagined the effects life was, my first real gig, for no money, but it was, like, amazing, and that got me hooked just like like wrestling did.
What's the grind like for that? Is it a lot of time in a workshop and then
Well, what I've ended up being nichely good at is mold making, and so I take anything and I can recreate it. So what happens to me is I get to, like, meet the actor when they come in. I, like, get to see their cast, get their head, send their I get to fix up their perfect sculpted face, send it off. They do a makeup for it, like Gozer for Ghostbusters. That comes back to me. I then mold the makeup, then they can reproduce, how many makeups do we need, how many days do they shoot, put all those makeups, and package them, send them off. Someone else gets to apply them, but I get to go home to my kids at night, which is pretty great.
that's
It's
great.
also like Thor's hammer, Cap's shield, you know, things like that. Iron Man's helmet, I get to touch it before film hits it, which makes me pretty happy.
That is so cool, and it's wild because no matter what you end up doing, even if it's something that you've dreamed of that's awesome, like special effects, it still becomes a job, and then
Yeah.
when it became a job, is that what maybe was that what prompted you to wanna try stand up?
Well, stand up is something everyone wants to do stand up. I really think everyone wants to do stand up. I think
Sure.
everyone you talk to would like to do it. And it seems impossible. It seems really scary. And my thought was always like, well, how do you write an original joke? And I've got stacks of papers over here, like multiple notebooks full of they may not be good, but I've written that many jokes. When we had the writer's strike in LA, it was on in April, and we pretty much everything shut down. So there was no work. And I go, well, and I literally thought, well, what can I do? My thought was, I'm going to grab some commercial work or something real fast because I know I can talk and I know I'm entertaining and I know I'm goofy and I look like a generic frat guy or dad or whatever. Like, I go, I'm going to try to, because that was the only thing that was happening still was a little bit of acting work in town. But I go, and I'll sign up for a stand up class. You know, I think I tried it once, maybe in my whole life, and it was really not fun, and I didn't like it. But I knew I wanted to try it. But I took the class with this lady named Renee Percy. She's amazing. She taught me what the crowd's thinking. So the first jokes you tell are what people are thinking when they see you. Because you want to read their mind, and then that gets you a connection. She taught me all the formulas, all the that nothing that's what if I had been taught things like this for promo class, how to plan, just that alone. What are people thinking when they already, I know you like my hair. That would have been the first thing you could have said as that Skyfire. You know what I mean? But you don't know that. But she taught me all this. And once you learn the proper way, stand up was so fun. And now it's like my day job is effects, and my passion now is stand up. And on top of that, I'm getting boogers. On top of that, uh, I love sketch comedy. I've gone to the Groundlings. I've gone all the way through Groundlings, and I would love to do sketch comedy and stand up and all that stuff. I'm writing movies. I'm writing pilots. Yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
God, and you're connected, right? You're plugged into the industry already. So,
sorta plugged in. I'm plugged into the back door.
uh,
It's
they keep the cooks in the back.
yeah, yeah, uh, but I definitely I'm in the right town, and it's really fun, and stand-up is so fun. It's it's like all the good parts of wrestling without the bad parts, I
It
guess.
it's pretty freeing. I had about a year where I tried it. I was very hacky, a lot of handicap jokes.
Hey,
Uh,
that's perfect because how are you not gonna address it, you know?
right,
How are you not
right.
gonna walk the stage and say like, "Boy, how about that traffic?" Like,
All of this is really linked in, Seth, to you
sorry.
being very extroverted, very authentic. Like I said at the top of the show, like a bit of a dream chaser,
Yeah,
and I really respect that. And I think there's a lot people can learn from that because it would be one thing if you like these things, talked about doing these things, and we're like, why isn't this happening? But you make it happen.
I
You
mean,
make it happen.
if I
And
ever
that's
write a
amazing.
book, my book will be called Mr. Almost because I was almost a famous wrestler. Um, I'm a special effects artist. You've never heard of me, but I've worked on every movie in the world, but no one knows my name. Uh, and if I make it as, a stand-up, if I don't, I almost made it as a stand-up. I'm
I think it's more than almost,
I'm
man.
the guy you've almost heard of multiple times.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's your life. You obviously. I'm like, call the book whatever the hell you want. Are you able to do the Nathan Jones story with your neck?
The Nathan Jones story.
All right. So, Nathan Jones, the 7 foot.
Oh, is
Uh,
this
when he at practice when he threw up.
Oh my god.
You
Oh, when
remember
he
this
was
story?
he was
Nathan,
throwing up like a
yeah,
T-Rex. I remember that.
he was 7 footer
Yeah.
throwing up like a T-Rex. God
Yeah.
damn it. The visual was
Oh,
so
I remember
funny.
that.
It's
The
been a minute
funnest
since you
thing with
told that
Nathan
one.
Jones is Nathan Jones, I mean, I don't know if it was because he was from another country, he would call moves wrong, and he would make them sound more scary. And you'd be in the corner, and you're like, "I'm gonna strangle you in the corner. I'm gonna shoot you off for a spine destroyer." And I'm like, "That's not a move. That's not a move. I don't know what you're talking about."
I'm a
Like
spine destroyer,
I'm like,
Jesus.
I don't know. Please, please don't
That's
kill
so
me.
funny.
Spine
God
destroyer.
damn.
He was terrifying.
It terrified you. You always found yourself in there with those guys, though.
Yeah.
Couldn't hurt Seth.
No.
Uh,
Yes, they could. They did.
what advice would you give to anybody out there? Doesn't have to be showbiz, wrestling, doesn't have to be special effects, but just about putting a dream into action.
Well, there's a misconception in the world that you can do anything you wanna do if you work hard enough. Um, and I think that is right and that is wrong, and there's a mature way to look at it, and I've learned that. You can do anything you wanna do. You can be a wrestler, but sometimes it's out of your control and out of your hands whether you succeed or not. No matter how hard you want it or try, the you in that moment just wasn't meant to happen. But don't let not succeeding stop you. And don't be afraid if the scariest thing is realizing your dreams won't come true. And realizing that doesn't mean life is over. It means new dream time, So the second you realize, wow, I might never be a country music singer, well, let's go home and see what's new. Let's reevaluate and see, do I still even want to be a country music singer?
Well
And that's
said.
what I've always done. I've had multiple things in my life that I've had to start over and just, reevaluate. And all of it leads you to live your life at your base. Know who you are, know who's behind the wheel, do what you want to do, play by your own rules, and just try to be happy. Don't get upset about shit you can't control, and just, you know, have a happy home, and at the end of the day, smile, I think.
That's right on the bullseye, and I think you definitely live it. Like I said, that's what I remember most is just cracking up at ridiculous with you, like, nonstop.
Always trying to laugh, and I remember people like, if I could have figured out how to be me backstage in front of the camera, which I wish they had tried to do with me. I remember talking with Beast about, like, we were like, "Let's film, like,
Beast
30
Shag
Robin."
Gaspard, right?
Yeah, Robin Big shorts. We wanted to just be Robin Big and just goof off and skateboard, and, you
That would have been
know,
awesome.
our dynamic we were so opposite, but got along so well, and I just they never tried any of that they never tried to get to know me. So I kind of feel like it's their loss, you know? Um, I could have been a very good asset, because they always need baby faces, which is really hard to find lukewarm baby face.
Right.
Yeah.
But
And
you
on top of it all, at the end of the day, for all of it, it's all about having children and finding someone you love. And when your home is great and you've got 2 babies and you got a lovely wife and you got cars in the driveway, yeah,
smooth
fuck all
sailing.
those guys. Yeah.
A little question I like to do here, Seth, or it's Greg Gagne would call you, Zeth.
Zeth,
Zeth,
I like them too.
yeah, he was a nice guy. He was like a sort of like a lost like young grandpa kind of.
I think he liked me too. I think he was one of those that liked me.
I think he did too. Yeah. I remember vividly him calling you Zeth and calling Punk CM.
Yeah.
It was just like a weird little tick. So Seth, you kicked the bucket. Rest in peace. It's the Seth Skyfire Memorial Show. Who's headlining?
My son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, there's something weird, like, when I walked away from wrestling, I felt like a lot of friends walked away from me. I could say maybe a handful of people I've chatted with since, you know. Um, I've Punk and me still chat a little, me and Nitro, me and Aaron, but there were a lot of guys I felt I was really close with that kinda, "Oh, he quit wrestling, he's done," you know?
Out of sight,
Um,
out of mind.
yeah. Doesn't it feel weird? Like, once you're not in, they don't want anything to do with you. Um, but I don't think mine would be a wrestling show. Mine would be a swerve. Mine would be like this weird experience. Like, you would have to come to like an abandoned mental institution in the middle of nowhere. Everyone would be given a camera. And then it'd be like there'd be wrestlers in the building that will attack you that you have to fight off. There's also animatronic like werewolves and things that'll come out. And you also, the last level is just clowns just pieing you in the face. And at the end, you just eat all the sushi you want.
Oh,
And that's
that's
it.
it. Maybe a little stand-up show at
Yeah.
the sushi bar to bring you down.
Yeah. And that's it. That's it.
Oh, that's
I don't know if
fantastic.
there's a wrestling match, but
No, that's way
yeah.
better. Wrestling's stupid. Uh, that's fantastic. Um, so you're also a ghost hunter, Seth. I forgot to bring that up. That's
Yeah.
insane.
I did that a long time too. Until the whole time that same little boy in Alabama saw a ghost when he was a kid and has thought about that his whole life. You
So
know,
crazy.
so I hosted my own show for like 7 years on YouTube, you know, um,
Wh-
which we'll go back and watch all that. Hollywood Paranormal Detectives, watch that shit.
At
Uh,
Hollywood Paranormal Detective, YouTube.com.
yeah,
Is that
yeah, yeah.
okay? I'll put up all your what are your socials? I'll put them up.
Steven Adkins, on almost everything. Uh,
Okay.
just put my name in anywhere, you'll find me. On
Okay.
the tube, on the gram, on the TikTok with all the kids. I'm doing it.
Is there any box unchecked like comedy, special effects, ghost hunter, pro wrestler, anything like writer, anything secretly?
Well, what I've found through stand-up is how much I love writing. I really like writing. Um I wrote a movie in like 21 days, which is like impossible. And I knew the whole movie the second I sat down, and people were like, "You're not supposed to do that." And I have 2 I'm writing simultaneous right now. I really enjoy writing, and it would be really amazing to see a movie I've written made. That'd be the next big check. Um, and then the other thing is whatever passion my son finds or my daughter is to support that as like a super coach, which will be so fun. Whatever they find going on, support it. And I'm excited to do that, so
That's so cool, man. I want to thank you, Seth, for taking the time to bullshit with me about a
yes,
thing you don't love anymore, but that you
it's
were very
part of it.
good at for a long time.
And it really means a lot to hear some of the things I didn't know a lot of that. I didn't know Danny ever even I didn't have a lot of talks with Danny, if that's kinda weird too. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Good to know that at least they cared a little.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would have thought you did, with the relationship with Danny or even Al, but I guess, that you can only get so, you know what I'm saying, so close
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Um, but I want to wish you the best in the world of stand up, continued success on the special effects front. You're a cool son of a bitch, Seth. I'll tell you
Hey,
that.
you're a good dude too. You've always been
Thanks.
kicking it, keeping it real.
I
Always
I
loved you. Always loved you, buddy. You're the best.
Thanks, man. The feeling's mutual. Folks, thanks for joining us here on this nonsense show called LiMPiN AiNT. His name is Stephen Adkins. My name's Timmy Baltimore. We'll see you next time on LiMPiN AiNT, but it sure beats crawling.
Because you're saying things like that Al depended on me, and
Yes, you don't
I
think he
had
did?
no idea. He
Well,
never told me a compliment, I
no,
don't think
we never
ever.
told anybody a compliment. But listen, we came up in the era of if you give them any positive reinforcement, they're going to turn into fucking Satan. Like that's what,
I would beg him for compliment sandwich. I go,
right.
"Shit on my face, tell me something nice, and then shit again. But please tell me something's good." Like,
Hey, you jabronis. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to click subscribe to the YouTube channel and podcast. This has been LiMPiN AiNT. It's wrestling as real as it gets.